right, what's up, guys? Chapter 19, and my voice will not go hoarse. Okay, not. I don't know what that was. Oops, let's go back up to the presentation. All right. Oh, you know what? I didn't even set up my writing pad. Now I did. Okay. All right. Chapter 19, essentials. Okay, let's read. Okay, so the essential points in the successful use of the law of assumption are first, yearning, longing, intense burning desire. Okay, yeah, to be different right here. With all your heart, you must want to be different. Intense burning desire combined with, he added this later, but combined with the intention to make good. So you can't just like think about, oh, I really want this car. It has to be, I will have it. And it's okay because he does use the future tense about his desires every so often. But the main point of the law of assumption, which is assuming that something is already yours, it doesn't change. Okay, I've talked about this in previous videos, one of them. Okay, the next, so I put in here obvious statement, just in case you guys read it and are like, okay, douche. Sorry. What I think about this first component of, let's see, no, let's do that later. This first component of what he's saying right here. So the first one, intense burning desire. I think that if you have a desire, you already long for it. It's already there. And if you need to manufacture a desire, then that proves that the desire was never there in the first place. And so if you feel like you have to manufacture a desire, and this takes mindfulness to take note of, but if you notice that you have to keep reminding yourself you're desiring something, then I would look and see what your real motivations are, how you really feel about the thing that you want, or your situation, or your concept of self, or whatever. Because people only do what they want. I think Neville said this in a lecture sometime. This sentence has like affected how I live my life a lot. People only do what they want. So there's no sacrifice. There's no selfless sacrifice. It's the people have a code and by which they live. And even if they were to give up their life for somebody else, that means that they are doing it of their own volition. They would not, if they were to choose not to do that, when they want to do that, then that would violate their own code, and they wouldn't, they would feel guilty, regret, whatever. Okay, so that was that. This sentence changed a lot of close relationships for me. It really was a paradigm shift. People only do what they want. Every single person is only doing what he or she wants to do, but for themselves. Okay. If they're doing something for somebody else, they're doing it because they feel like it's the right thing to do. So yeah. All right, moving on to the okay. So all you heard, you want to be different. Mainspring of action. Okay, so he's just saying about how important desire is to have. And then he quotes Psalms 42 as the heart pants for the water. Anybody know that song? Anybody else was raised Christian? Anyway, and then the next passage is from Matthew 5:6. Plus, there the hunger and the thirst. So, hungering and thirsting is the desire that you have. But so he's talked before right here about just the desire about well, and yeah. So okay. So he establishes that desire is important and why it's important. And then he he takes a much broader conceptual view of desire. And so let's go dive into it here. I'm just going to read this paragraph and then we'll talk about it. Here the soul, here I'm going to talk about it. You guys will listen. Here the soul is interpreted as the sum total of all you believe, think, feel, and accept as true. In other words, your present level of awareness, okay? So the soul is interpreted as a present level of awareness. I think I look up the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary in the slide. We'll get to that. God or I am, is the power of awareness, the source and fulfillment of all desire, understood psychologically. Okay, so the sentence reads, God is the power of awareness, the source and fulfillment of all desire, understood psychologically. So the desire is understood psychologically, if I'm reading the sentence correctly. Next sentence is, I am an infinite series of levels of awareness. I am what I am in accordance with where I am in the series. So he's saying in this sentence, really quick, before we move on, I am an infinite series of levels of awareness. So he doesn't capitalize I am here. He says I am like I Neville am an infinite series of levels of awareness. So he's saying he's both the infinite series, and he's also in accordance, he is what he is in accordance with where he is in the series. So he's a big broad series, and he's also like the concept of the manifestation of the I am, which we talked about in chapter 1, is the manifestation of what? No, is the individual concept of you and I, humans. So this is interesting. I think it's a new idea. I don't think he's said he's both, because he's introduced God as a lot of things. I am as a lot of things. And even in this sentence, he said that God is the power of awareness. He's said that God is imagination. There's a whole bunch of definitions. And then here he says that he's an infinite series of levels of awareness. So he is what he defined previously as what God is. And he's in accordance also with where he is in the series. So he's saying he's God, and he's also him. He's also Neville, I think. Anyway, the last sentence, this quotation describes how your present level of awareness longs to transcend itself. Righteousness is the consciousness of being what you already want to be. So he defines righteousness here as the consciousness of being what you want to be. I define it in the next chapter, which I'm going to go over in a little bit, but we need to go back to the first part of the paragraph here. I think I went over this. This quotation describes how your present level of awareness. Okay, so this quotation, I don't know which quotation he's talking about. Maybe he's talking about both. Regardless, it's easy to understand here how your present level of awareness longs to transcend and longs to. So, for example, pants after the. Okay, so probably this quotation, his soul, person's soul. Solomon's? I think Solomon wrote this Psalms, or David, or maybe somebody else. But the soul pants after God. All right, so let's talk about it. So he defines the soul as the present level of awareness in the book, like explicitly, and it longs to transcend to God. Okay, so that's it. All right, cool. Second is the second part of the law of assumption. To successfully use the law, you cultivate physical immobility, not unlike the state of a poet described in a poem. And the poet's like, a drowsy numbness pains my senses as though of hemlock I drank. Drowsy numbness pains. Okay. So he goes on, it is a state akin to sleep, but one in which you are in control of the direction of attention. You must learn to induce a state of will, but experience has taught it is more easily induced after a substantial meal, when you wake in the morning feeling very loath to rise. Just don't fall asleep again. I have that problem a lot. Then you are naturally disposed to enter this state. The value of physical immobility exposes itself in the accumulation of mental force, which absolute stillness brings with it. It increases your power of attention. All right, so that's the second part of successfully using law, physical immobility. Now, he's talking about attention up here, but so that's the it's like sleeping, but you're in control of where your attention goes. I mean, it's hard enough as it is, but we'll go over how useful it is actually I'll just go over it right here. Yeah, when the door of the senses are closed to the objective world. So he's talking about the second thing, which is physical immobility in this next paragraph. Okay, so shut down the senses, turn on, focus the attention. And so yeah, what I think it is getting into the theta state. And you know, that makes sense. There's a lot of teachers that preach theta state. I'm going to include a video, and the video which kind of introduced me to how to get into theta really quick. I will test how quickly I get into theta with an EEG or some kind of something like that measures my brain waves when I can afford it. I'm working on that manifestation wise. And the blog, which she probably got it from, I don't know, it's an old one, and it goes very in depth into the theta state. But yeah, it's been very helpful, and I hope that it helps you guys too. Okay, we're on chapter 3, or the third thing. Are we? Let me see. I may have some stuff to say about this. No, okay. All right. Yeah, we're done with thing 2 now. The last thing to successfully use the law, I messed up the order, is to experience in your imagination what you would experience in reality had you achieved your goal. Okay, now he's going to talk about this a lot in detail, but this is the main thing. Assume what you want. This is not directly assuming the wish fulfilled, but it's to experience in reality. So you are to experience in imagination what you would experience if you had achieved your goal. So you're going to put yourself in there, in that situation, and you experience it. And that with that will come feeling. With that will come a change of concept. With that will come, you know, faith in your imagination, and like, you know, experiencing it. For that, I don't know. I'll talk about this more. Okay, so. Yeah, I said moving yourself in imagination. So he's also said earlier in other chapters, so psychologically place yourself. The law of assumption, or using the law of assumption, psychologically places yourself, and then you shoot back to where you physically, and then those forward motions are what creates reality. Okay, so all right, let's keep on reading. So you must gain it in imagination first, for imagination is the very door to the reality which you seek. But use imagination masterfully, and not as an onlooker thinking of the end, but a partaker thinking from the end. This is very helpful for me to remember, because whenever I'm thinking of my wish fulfilled, whenever I want to use the law of assumption, I always catch myself like, am I thinking of, or am I thinking from? And then, you know, this is subjective, but when I think from, there's a different feeling. It is more complete, feels good. It's like a welling up, and yeah, it feels good. So yeah, if this is helpful for you to imagine, if you don't know, great. This is a tool. Thinking from the end, all you're supposed to do to use the law of assumption well is these 3 things. And if you struggle with, you know, experiencing in imagination, just try and think of thinking from the end, like me. But the main idea, again, is to experience in imagination here. And before, just assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, or assume what you want has already happened. Assume you are the person that you want to be. That's it. If this messes you up, then don't. If this messes you up in relation to the foundational facts, then that's not good, and you need to change that if you are to use the law of assumption as Neville says to use. All right. Right. Okay. So does he say that? Okay. So all right. Imagine that you possess a quality or something that you desire. Yeah. Exactly. That's it. That's the main idea. Imagine you already have it. Surrender yourself completely to the feeling until your whole being is possessed by it. I think that'll come naturally. If you think that you already have something, you already have it. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to like worry about how you feel. Just assume you already have it. It's difficult and simple as that. to ignore your senses, which the immobile state will help with. Okay, enjoying the natural comes from, yeah, I already said that. Okay, so this state, okay, so it's not reverie, it's controlled imagination, like he talked about in the second thing. You have to control, you have to maintain control of your imagination, or your attention, excuse me. Okay, yeah, controlled imagination, steady attention. This is the same thing. If you control your attention, then your imagination will automatically be controlled, I think. Whereas reverie is, okay, so don't daydream, don't control. It's hard. It's hard, guys, I think anyway, to control your daydreams and keep your focus on what you want, on the state you want to embody, or the thing that you want to have. So I mean, it's okay, but just keep getting better at it. I've gotten better at it, and that's just through repetition. In the controlled state, a minimum of effort suffices to keep. Okay, he talks about effort again. Physical, yeah, okay, so he's just restating that. Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about effort again. It's for anyone new watching this video who hasn't watched my previous videos. Don't be caught up in this phrase, minimum of effort. Okay, the main ideas, at least for this chapter, are to have a desire, which you should have already if you want to do something, cultivate physical immobility or get into the theta state, whichever works for you, and then experience in imagination what you would experience in reality had your wish come true. Or pretend what you want is real already. Pretend when you have it, pretend you are you are the person you want to be. That's it. If you do those things, the minimum effort, the emotion, the all this other stuff here that he talks about that you should do, or the like surrendering yourself to the feeling, it'll come naturally. If you assume you are what you want to be, then the feeling comes. You won't have to worry about it. Okay, so just worry about the three main things, and don't forget the foundational principles of imagine our reality is made of consciousness. Consciousness is one. I am is one. You are a manifestation of I am, and you, by using the law of assumption, merge with the I am, the big consciousness, the greater self, and God can't be denied anything. Okay, so worry about the foundational ideas first. If you're new, go back to the first where I talk about the first chapter, or just read it and make sure that you understand the foundational principles, because it'll make it easier to use the law, at least in my experience. Okay. Okay. Talk about that, does he? Okay. So way to went along with your objective. Okay, he does say this to this point, thinking of the end, that naturally comes with desire. If you wistfully thinking about something, you're not merged with it. Third point, yep. So you're just contrasting before you're thinking of the end, after you're thinking from the end. The minute you make it pleasurable and you are, you start thinking from the end. Okay, so so he says you start thinking from the end as soon as you are it. Okay. And okay, so it works as impersonally as a law of electricity, but be responsible. It should always be borne in mind that ignoble thoughts and actions inevitably result in unhappy consequences. I think that selfish desires will naturally be corrected. I think that there's a greater, the greater self, I am, for lack of, there's some force that's like making everything happen when it happens, and we have some degree of control, as far as timing, or maybe not, but that's what I believe. Okay, so Selfish beliefs will and the reason why I believe that, because that's not a very common belief. Neville says a lot that every vision has its appointed hour, or every desire or something, and there's a lot of examples where the timing is just odd for people who are supposedly very strong in the law, and it happens for the greater good, for their greater good. So it's because we don't know everything. Okay, I talked about that in some video. I forget which one. Okay, all right. So if you come across this, because somebody thinking this, maybe we'll have some resentment or react emotionally in some way to what they see on the outside, somebody else doing, somebody else maybe using the law of assumption for selfish purposes. And he made Neville, I talk about this lecture all the time. He wrote about how to, like, just not even telling people how to act. All you have to do, because, and this goes back to the foundational principles, all you have to do, everything depends on concept of self, everything, even other people's actions. So if you see something that you don't like, just flip the switch, don't react, and assume that it is a certain way, and then persist in that assumption. So that's like basically it. Yeah, don't I mean, it's the same thing. Everything that happens exterior from you, and I'm using Neville's teaching, everything that happens exterior, geez, everything that, goodness, everything that happens exterior to you, other people's actions included, is a result of your own concept of self. So look to see what caused it for you. Oh, geez. And just assume it is a different way. Even if you experience a success or a failure, you should learn. And even if a situation isn't how you like it, try and find out the lesson from it. It's easy to say right now as I'm recording the video, but when you're experiencing something emotionally, try and cultivate the habit of, if failure is okay, failure is how you learn. Because think back on your life when like the darkest times led to the greatest lessons. Yeah, so it's not all doom and gloom. That was a weird statement. Yeah, I'm over time, so I'll go over chapter 20 in the next video.